Pop quiz. You work hard. You finally get that big promotion. You get a raise. So what do? You buy a bigger car. You buy a bigger house. Your expenses rise exactly as much as your income. You didn't get richer. You just upgraded the size of your trap. Welcome to the rat race. Here's how the rich actually escape it. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. 1. The rich don't think like everyone else. Two kids grow up in the same city, same schools, same opportunities. One grows up hearing, play it safe, get a stable job. The other grows up hearing, learn how money works. Fast forward 20 years, one is chasing promotions. The other is chasing ownership. The difference isn't intelligence, it's programming. Most people are taught to trade time for money. Go to work, get paid, repeat. That model feels secure until the paycheck depends entirely on your presence. The shift happens when you stop asking, how do I earn more? And start asking, how do I own more? Ownership creates leverage. Leverage creates freedom. Same economy, different mental operating system. Money doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards the way you think about effort. 2. Assets make you money, liabilities make you busy. Someone I know bought a brand new luxury car and proudly called it an investment. The monthly payments were impressive. So was the insurance. So was the maintenance. Meanwhile, another person quietly bought a small rental property that sent him money every month without asking for attention. The rule is simple, but people complicate it. If something puts money in your pocket, it's an asset. If something takes money out of your pocket, it's a liability. The problem is that lifestyle upgrades feel like success, so we label them as investments to feel better about them. Your car might look rich, your house might feel rich, but if they demand constant feeding, they're not building wealth, they're draining it. If it pays you, it's an asset. If you pay it, it's a liability. 3. Work to learn, not just to earn. My friend stayed in a job he hated because the paycheck was comfortable. Every year he got a small raise, and every year he felt slightly more trapped. Another person I know took a lower-paying role just to learn sales and negotiation. 5 years later, guess who had more leverage? A salary feels safe, but it caps your growth. Skills don't. Communication, marketing, sales, negotiation, leadership, these are income multipliers. They follow you everywhere. A paycheck belongs to the company. Skills belong to you. Most people chase higher salaries. Very few chase higher capability. But income eventually reflects value. The more useful you become, the more opportunities show up. Jobs pay you for your time. Skills pay you for your leverage. 4. Fear and greed are louder than logic. The market drops. News headlines turn dramatic. Suddenly, everyone becomes cautious. This is risky. I knew this would happen. A few months later, prices rise. Same people, different mood. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. Nothing changed except emotion. Fear whispers, protect yourself. Greed shouts, don't miss out. Both feel intelligent in the moment. Fear disguises itself as caution. Greed disguises itself as ambition. And while you're convincing yourself you're being rational, emotion is quietly driving. The pattern repeats in every cycle. Panic at the bottom, euphoria at the top. Most people don't lose because they lack information. They lose because they react. Markets move, emotions swing harder. A wise man once said, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. 5. The poor work for money. The rich make money work for them. Watch how most people earn money. They trade hours for income. Show up, get paid. Work overtime, earn more. Stop working, income stops. It feels productive. It feels responsible. It also creates a ceiling. Time is limited. Energy is limited. And if your income depends entirely on your presence, it's fragile. Miss a week, lose a job, burn out. The system pauses. The shift happens when you stop asking, how can I work more? And start asking, how can my money work? Assets, investments, small businesses, systems. These generate income even when you're not actively pushing them. It's not about working less. It's about building leverage. One path keeps you busy forever. The other builds freedom quietly. If your income stops when you stop working, you work for money. If income continues, money works for you. 6. Your house is not always an asset. For most people, the house is the trophy. Big purchase, big commitment, big sense of, I made it. The driveway feels like progress. The mortgage feels like adulthood. But here's the uncomfortable question. Does your house put money in your pocket or take it out? Every month it asks for payments. Mortgage, maintenance, insurance, upgrades. That's not income. That's obligation. Owning a home isn't bad. It can be smart. But calling something an asset just because it's expensive is dangerous. An asset feeds you. A liability demands feeding. Lifestyle often disguises itself as wealth. A bigger house feels like growth. But growth and cash flow are not the same thing. One improves your comfort. The other improves your freedom. Comfort looks impressive. Cash flow creates independence. If it doesn't generate income, it's not building wealth. It's consuming it. 7. Financial education is the real advantage. Most people think earning more money solves everything. Higher salary, bigger bonus, problem fixed. But I've seen high earners live paycheck to paycheck, and modest earners quietly build serious wealth. The difference isn't income, it's understanding. If you don't understand taxes, debt, investing, and cash flow, every dollar you earn leaks somewhere. You work harder, but the system works harder against you. Without financial education, you're running fast, just not forward. When you understand how money actually moves, things change. You start seeing opportunities instead of expenses. You think in terms of assets instead of purchases. You ask better questions before making decisions. School teaches you how to earn. Financial education teaches you how to keep. Income can disappear overnight. Knowledge compounds for life. 8. The 5 obstacles aren't outside. They're inside. Someone I know says he wants financial freedom, but every time an opportunity shows up, fear steps in first. What if I lose? Another person delays investing because of cynicism. It's probably a scam. Then there's laziness. I'll start next month. Bad habits, arrogance. The obstacles aren't external, they're internal. Most people think the problem is money, or the economy, or timing. But the real barriers are emotional. Fear keeps you stuck. Cynicism keeps you skeptical of everything. Laziness keeps you comfortable. Bad habits keep you distracted. Arrogance keeps you from learning. The uncomfortable truth? None of these are solved with more income. They're solved with awareness. You don't need better markets. You need better discipline. The biggest obstacle to wealth isn't money. It's the story you tell yourself about it. If this made you rethink whether you're working for money or money's working for you, follow for the next one.